Nobody in the quiet little town of Silverpine would have guessed that a single late-night message could change everything. But for Alara Vance, it all started with a trembling chime on her wristcom just after the moon slipped behind the clouds, right when she thought the night couldn't feel any heavier. She had been staring out her tiny apartment window, watching specks of pale starlight flicker beyond the clouds. Her life had felt unbearably small lately, almost like it was shrinking at the edges, and loneliness had settled around her like a thin, cold mist. Then the message arrived. A single line from Cale Arden, the one person she thought she had already lost. They hadn't spoken properly in months, not since the day they argued at the observatory platform overlooking the valley. Cale had always been the steady one, the friend who stayed calm even when everyone else lost their footing. But that night, something inside him cracked, and his words still echoed in her memory, like a bruise she couldn't see but kept feeling. Now his message simply read, "Ilara, I need to see you. It's important." Her heart kicked at her ribs, unsure whether from fear or longing. And even after all the silence between them, part of her had never stopped hoping he cared more than he ever said. Ilara grabbed her jacket and stepped outside. The air was cool, touched by the distant hum of the power rails that ran through the town. Every step toward the old meteor station made her pulse grow louder, like her heartbeat was leading her there faster than her feet could keep up. The meteor station stood at the edge of the ridge, half abandoned but still humming with faint energy. It had always been their place, where they watched showers of stardust streak across the sky whenever the world felt too heavy. It was where Cale once promised her that no matter what happened, he would always show up for her. But promises sometimes faded faster than stardust. She reached the entrance and paused, breathing in the metallic scent of the night. A dim light glowed inside, flickering like a nervous thought. Then she saw him. Cale stood near the viewing console, shoulders tense, eyes shadowed by something deeper than worry. His dark hair fell forward the way it always did when he was lost in thought, messy, uneven, a little stubborn, just like him. He turned when she stepped in. For a moment, neither of them spoke. There was only the quiet hum of the station and the soft, uneven rhythm of two hearts too afraid to say what mattered. "Ilara," he finally breathed. She swallowed hard. "You said it was important." His gaze softened, but there was something behind it she couldn't read. Something fragile, like he was holding on to courage by its last thread. "I should have told you sooner," Cale said, voice low. "And I should have been there when you needed me. But there's something you need to know now, before it's too late." Her chest tightened. The words, "too late," were never comforting. "What's going on?" she whispered. Cale stepped closer. Close enough for her to see the worry etched across his face. He hesitated. Cale never hesitated. That alone sent a ripple of fear through her. "I didn't know how to say it back then," he murmured. "And I definitely didn't know how to say it after we started drifting apart. But tonight, something happened. Something that made me realize I can't keep this to myself anymore." Ilara's breath hitched. The station lights flickered, casting faint halos around them. Her heart thudded louder, waiting, bracing, hoping, terrified of hoping too much. Cale's voice softened even more. "Ilara, there's something I've been feeling for a long time. Something I can't hide anymore. And before anything else changes, I need to tell you the truth." Ilara's pulse froze. Her entire world became that single moment, thin, fragile, suspended like a meteor hanging before the fall. Because the way KL looked at her right then was different, raw, unguarded, and painfully honest. And she knew whatever he was about to say would change everything between them. But before he could finish his next sentence, the station lights cut out completely, plunging them into darkness. A soft gasp escaped her lips. Kale reached for her hand. "Ilara, don't move," he whispered. And just like that, the night shifted around them. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Total darkness wasn't what frightened Ilara. It was the silence that followed, deep, absolute, and strange enough to make her skin prickle. The meteor station had been old for years, but it had never gone completely black before. Even during storms or power dips, the emergency lights always kicked in. Tonight, nothing stirred except the faint hiss of interrupted circuits. Kale's fingers closed around her hand, warm, steady, a comfort she hadn't realized she still craved. "Kale," she whispered, trying to keep her breathing calm, "why did the power cut out like that?" "I don't know," he said, though his voice carried worry he was trying hard to hide. "But it happened right after I rerouted the console to show you something." Ilara felt his hand tense around hers. "Show me what?" she asked. There was a pause. A long one. "Ilara, earlier tonight, a fragment was detected entering the upper atmosphere," Kyle murmured. "Not a normal meteor. Something with a signal. A repeating one." Her heart lurched. "A signal? From where?" "That's the part I don't understand," he said softly. "But whatever it is, the reading changed after it passed the ridge. It shifted to a frequency I've only seen once before." Ilara swallowed. "When?" "The night you fell along the trail outside the ridge," Kyle said. "The night I carried you back here because you couldn't stand on your own." Her breath caught. She remembered that night. A faint light across the sky, a sudden pulse that made the ground tremble beneath her feet, and then the sharp pain in her ankle as she slipped. But she had never known Kale detected anything unusual. He never mentioned it, not once. "Kale, why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "I thought it was nothing," he answered. "Just noise." But the reading tonight wasn't noise. It was the same pattern, only stronger. A shiver ran up her arms despite his warm grip. "What does that mean?" "That something is connected," he said. "And I think it involves you." The words were too heavy to fully grasp. Ilara felt the room spinning with the weight of them, with the sudden cold that slipped under her skin. "Why me?" she whispered. Kale didn't answer right away. He squeezed her hand gently and guided her forward. "Walk with me," he said. "Slowly. The back emergency panel should open manually." They moved cautiously through the dark, their footsteps echoing against the metal floor. Ilara's senses sharpened with every step, the smell of old circuitry, the soft hum of distant power lines outside, the steady touch of Kale's hand. And beneath it all, a new awareness she couldn't name. When Kale pushed the manual lever, a faint amber glow flickered to life along the back wall, revealing the curved viewing dome above them. Ilara's breath caught. The sky beyond the glass wasn't normal. Instead of stars, faint streaks of shimmering light drifted across the horizon, slow, deliberate, almost like glowing threads weaving through the clouds. Kale exhaled shakily. "That started right after the signal reading," he murmured, "and I have never seen anything like it." Ilara pressed her hand to the glass, heart pounding. The lights pulsed in soft waves as though responding to something she couldn't hear. Kale watched her carefully. Elara, when you were hurt that night, do you remember anything unusual? Anything strange before you fell? She hesitated. She did remember something, but she had pushed it so far back in her mind that it felt unreal. A soft hum in the air, a glow curling around her like a breath of warmth, a voice she couldn't understand whispering through the wind. But she had convinced herself it was just pain, just fear, just imagination. I don't know if it was real, she said softly, but I heard something, and there was this feeling, like the light was almost reaching for me. Kale stepped closer, concern tightening his features. That's why I needed to see you tonight, he said, because the same signature that appeared near you then appeared again, stronger, and heading directly this way. Ilara's pulse leapt. Coming here? Yes, Kale said, and it'll reach Silverpine by dawn. She stared at him, stunned. Kale, what are you not telling me? His jaw tightened. He looked as though he wanted to pull her into his arms, but didn't dare to cross that line. Ilara, he said quietly. Before the signal grew stronger, there was another reading, one that wasn't from the sky. Her breath hitched. What kind of reading? A pulse, he whispered. From you. Her heart stilled, then thundered. Kale, what does that mean? She asked. But instead of answering, he slowly lifted a small scanner from his jacket. Its soft blue light blinked in rhythm, slow at first, then quicker, matching the shimmering outside. Ilara, Kyle murmured, voice shaking for the first time. Something in you responded to that signal, and I think whatever's coming is coming because of you. Her knees felt weak. Her world tilted. And when the scanner suddenly flashed bright white, lighting the entire dome for a split second, Ilara gasped and stumbled back. Kale caught her instantly. Ilara! But before he could finish, the shimmering threads in the sky brightened all at once, as if calling her name. For a moment, the glowing threads outside the dome looked almost alive, moving with purpose, drifting toward the ridge as if following an invisible trail. Ilara stared up at them in stunned silence, her breath caught somewhere between awe and fear. Kale kept one steadying hand on her arm, guiding her away from the glass just enough to make sure she wouldn't collapse again. She didn't miss the way he watched her, carefully, protectively, like every flicker of light outside was one more threat he wished he could block with his own body. Ilara, he said softly, tell me how you feel. Anything. Warmth, pressure, dizziness? She nodded faintly. There's something, she admitted, like a soft vibration under my skin. Not painful, just strange. Kale exhaled slowly. That vibration, if it's the same signature the scanner picked up earlier, then it means this isn't random. Whatever's out there is reacting to you specifically. Ilara hugged her arms around herself, suddenly cold, despite the gentle hum of the emergency lights. Why me? She whispered. I'm no one special. Kale's expression shifted. Something sincere, something aching beneath the surface. That's not true, he murmured. You've always mattered, even before any of this. Her heart caught at the words, but the moment broke as another soft pulse of light shimmered across the sky, more vivid than before. Kale stepped beside her, keeping one hand on the console as he studied the readings flickering back online. The pattern is accelerating, he said. It feels like it's searching for something, or someone. Ilara swallowed. Me, she whispered. His jaw tightened. That's why we need answers, and I think you already have some. Ilara looked at him in confusion. What do you mean? Kale turned toward her fully, his eyes deep with something heavier than simple concern. Earlier tonight, long before I sent you that message, I found something in the old Ridge archives, records from decades ago. There were sightings logged by the early Meteor Watch teams, and there's one entry, the oldest one, that matches your energy signature almost perfectly. Ilara froze. What? She breathed. Kyle reached into his jacket and pulled out a small, worn data pad. He tapped it, bringing up a set of documents, cracked with age. One of the early researchers described seeing a child near the ridge during a strange light event, he explained. A child who appeared out of nowhere, with the same pulse you're emitting now. Ilara's breath hitched. I don't remember anything like that. That's why I didn't want to scare you, Kale said gently. But the signature reading is too exact to ignore. Ilara's heart raced, confusion swirling with something deeper, something unsettling. I grew up in Silverpine, she whispered. Everyone knows me here. My parents. She stopped. Her parents had passed when she was very young, and the memories she held of them were blurry, warm, comforting, but distant. Too distant. Kale watched her carefully. You don't have to figure this out alone. Ilara looked away, pressing a hand to the glass once more. The light outside pulsed softly again, almost soothing this time, almost familiar. Kyle, she whispered, what if I'm connected to this? What if this, whatever it is, has been following me my whole life? Then we find out why. Together. She closed her eyes, letting the warmth of his words settle in her chest. She had spent so long feeling disconnected, like the world moved around her while she stood still. But Kale's presence grounded her in a way nothing else did. Suddenly, a low tremor shuddered through the station. The lights flickered. A soft hum rose from the floor, building into a gentle but steady vibration. Kale moved closer, instincts sharp. Ilara, stay right behind me. But before either of them could take another step, the dome above them lit with a burst of silver brilliance, like the sky had cracked open and poured its light into the world. Ilara gasped, shielding her eyes. Kale pulled her close without hesitation, holding her steady as the glow intensified. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the tremor stopped. The light faded. Silence returned. Ilara slowly lowered her hand, trying to process what had just happened. And that's when she saw it. A faint symbol glowing on the back of her wrist. Soft, pale, shaped like a tiny ring of starlight. Kale, her voice trembled. What is this? He stared at the glowing mark, breath stolen, shock widening his eyes. Ilara, that symbol was in the archives, he whispered. The same one. And if it's appearing on you now? Her pulse thudded painfully. She felt colder, smaller, and yet strangely drawn to the warmth of the symbol. Ilara, Kyle said softly, steadying her shoulders. This changes everything. Her eyes lifted to his, wide, frightened, desperate for assurance. Kale, what am I? Another pulse of light flickered in the sky, closer than before, bright enough to reflect in Kale's eyes as he whispered, I think... He swallowed, his voice trembling. I think we're about to find out. Ilara stood frozen, staring at the faint starlit symbol glowing on her wrist. It pulsed softly, as though matching the rhythm of her heartbeat, warm, nearly comforting, yet unfamiliar in every other way. Kale stepped closer, lowering his voice to a gentle murmur. Ilara, breathe. Whatever this is, it's reacting to something outside, and maybe to something inside you, too. She tried to inhale slowly, but her chest tightened, because no matter how calm Kale sounded, nothing about this felt small or simple anymore. The dome flickered again as distant threads of light drifted through the sky. Not chaotic, not random. They moved with purpose, spiraling toward the ridge in soft, sweeping arcs. "Kale," she whispered, "I feel like they're calling me." He looked deeply into her eyes. "Not calling you," he said softly. "Reaching for you. There's a difference." A shiver ran through her, not from fear exactly, but from a strange, quiet recognition she didn't understand. When another soft pulse traveled across her wrist, Kale reached out instinctively, his fingertips brushing just near the glowing mark. He hesitated before touching it, as though unsure if contact might overwhelm her. "Ilara, does it hurt?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "No, it feels warm, like the light knows me somehow." Kale swallowed hard, a storm of thoughts flickering behind his eyes. "Ilara, there's something I didn't show you on the data pad earlier." Her heart thudded. "What do you mean?" Kale exhaled, pulling up another aged document, a sketch barely holding its shape after decades. It showed an outline of a hand with the very same circular symbol glowing along the wrist. Above it, faded script read, "The Echo Bound." Ilara frowned. "The Echo Bound? What is that supposed to mean?" Kale shook his head. No one ever proved the term meant anything. The early researchers thought it might refer to people who were marked by a certain kind of light event, but they never found another case, just this one drawing. Ilara stared at the faded image, feeling a strange tug low in her chest. "That child in the Ridge report?" she whispered. "You said the description matched something about me." Kale nodded, and the mark in the report vanished before they could study it. Her gaze drifted to the symbol glowing on her wrist. "So why is it appearing on me now?" Kale let silence stretch. Then he spoke carefully, quietly. "Ilara, what if that child was you?" The room seemed to tilt. Her breath faltered. "That can't be," she murmured. "I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in Silver Pine." Kale's voice was gentle. "I know, and I believe the people who raised you loved you. But what if the beginning of your story wasn't here? What if something happened before the memories you hold?" Ilara felt her throat tighten. The idea was too big, too strange, yet the symbol on her wrist glowed with a softness that made something deep inside her ache with familiarity. Before she could respond, the entire dome shuddered again. This time, the tremor came not from the station itself, but from the sky outside. The threads of light converged at a single point, spiraling into a luminous vortex that hovered above the ridge. It pulsed once, bright enough to cast silver light across Ilara's face. Kale stepped protectively in front of her. "Ilara, stay behind me." But she shook her head slowly. "No, Kale, I don't think it's here to hurt us." He turned toward her, eyes wide with fear and something deeper, something that looked painfully close to losing her. "Ilara, please," he whispered. "You don't know what it wants." She looked up at the spiraling light, feeling a pull, gentle yet undeniable. "It wants something from me," she said softly. "But I don't think it's danger. I think it's recognition. Kale closed his eyes for a moment, as though steadying himself. When he opened them, they were filled with quiet desperation. You matter to me, he said softly, more than you realize. So whatever happens next, just promise me you won't walk into that alone. Ilara's breath caught. The words struck her deeper than the glowing mark ever could. But before she could respond, the light outside flashed again, brighter, closer, its glow spreading across the dome like a wave of stardust. Then something even stranger happened. The symbol on her wrist responded. It pulsed 3 times, slow, rhythmic beats of warm light before shimmering like tiny sparks drifting upward from her skin. Kale's eyes widened. Ilara, your pulse just synced with the sky. Before she could answer, the vortex outside contracted suddenly, releasing a soft ring of light that rippled across the valley. The dome trembled gently as the wave passed through it. And then, a voice echoed inside Ilara's mind. Faint, warm, familiar in a way she couldn't possibly explain. Found. Her knees weakened. Kale caught her instantly, holding her steady. Ilara, he breathed. What happened? Her eyes widened, fixed on the shimmering sky. They're here, she whispered, and they know who I am. Kale's heartbeat thudded against her shoulder. Ilara, what do they want with you? She looked up at him, fear and wonder mixing in her gaze. I think, she said softly, they're coming for me. A streak of brilliant light shot across the ridge, heading straight toward the meteor station. The streak of light descending toward the ridge wasn't harsh or violent. It drifted with a slow, almost graceful descent, like a falling star that had chosen its landing carefully. But the moment it neared the meteor station, the soft hum vibrating through the dome grew stronger, resonating with the symbol glowing on Ilara's wrist. Kale instinctively stepped in front of her again, his shoulders tense, his voice barely above a whisper. Ilara, whatever happens, don't let go of my hand. She didn't hesitate. Her fingers wrapped around his, holding tight, not just out of fear, but because she didn't want to face what waited outside without him. A gentle vibration rippled through the floor as the light touched down beyond the ridge. The dome glass brightened faintly, mirroring the glow from outside. Ilara felt a tug inside her, like something was pulling her forward, guiding her toward the exit. Not dangerous, not painful, just a soft invitation. She turned to Kyle. Please, come with me. I'm not letting you walk into this alone. I'm not letting you walk into this alone. Together, they pushed open the dome's side hatch and stepped into the cool night air. The world outside shimmered with pale threads of starlit fog drifting low along the ground. The ridge was soaked in silver light, and at its center stood the source of the glow. A spherical shape, no larger than a small shuttle, hovered silently above the ground. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, each wave reflecting the sky's light in soft pulses. Ilara felt her breath catch. The warmth on her wrist grew stronger. Each pulse matched one coming from the sphere. Kale whispered tightly, Ilara, it's reacting to you. She took a slow step forward. The sphere responded, lowering, tilting subtly toward her, as though acknowledging her presence. And then it spoke. Not through sound, but directly into her mind. Ilara. A gentle voice, familiar in a way that tugged at a place deeper than memory. We have searched for you across many cycles. Ilara felt tears sting her eyes. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why me? Who are you?" Kale stayed at her side, fingers still locked with hers. His grip never faltered, even when the sphere brightened with a warm, pulsating glow. "You were lost during a crossing, carried to this world by a burst of fractured light. We marked you so we could find you again when the time came." Ilara shook her head, overwhelmed. "I grew up here. My life, my memories, they're all from Silverpine." "Your life here is real," the voice assured, its tone soothing. "Your bonds are real. Your love is real. But your beginning was elsewhere. We came only to return what was taken." Kale's breath hitched. "Ilara, you don't have to go. Not if you don't want to." Her heart ached at the quiet tremor in his voice. She looked at him, the worry in his eyes, the care etched into every line of his face. Kale had been steady, even when she didn't realize she needed studying. He had shown up for her, again and again, even when she didn't know how much she mattered to him. The sphere pulsed again. "Your light is awakening, but your path is yours to choose." Ilara swallowed hard. A warmth spread through her chest, not from the symbol on her wrist, but from Kale's hand in hers. She stepped closer to him, her voice barely a whisper. "Kale, earlier tonight, you said there was something you needed to tell me." His breath caught. For a moment, he looked like he might step away, like the words were too heavy to bring into the open. But he didn't. Instead, he gently lifted her glowing wrist, holding it between their hands as though it were something precious. "Ilara," he said softly, "I didn't know how to tell you before, and then everything happened so fast. But the truth is, I care about you more than I ever said, more than I ever let myself admit." Ilara's heart tightened, soft, warm, aching. She felt the symbol pulse once beneath his touch, as if echoing the truth in his words. "I was afraid I'd already lost my chance," he continued. "But no matter what's calling you, no matter what all this means, I don't want to lose you now." Her eyes blurred with tears she didn't try to hide. "Kale, you never lost me." His breath trembled. And in that moment, the sphere dimmed slightly, giving space to the soft glow between them. "Your path is chosen by your heart. We will not take you from what you cherish." Ilara looked at Kyle, then at the light hovering above the ridge. She felt the pull inside her, but she felt the warmth of Kyle's hand stronger. With a steady breath, she stepped forward, not toward the sphere, but away from it. "I'm staying," she whispered. "My life, my heart, they're here." The sphere pulsed with a soft, accepting glow. "Then we return what belongs to you." A warm wave of light washed over her, gentle, soothing. The symbol on her wrist shimmered, then faded into a faint mark barely visible under moonlight. Her pulse steadied. The strange vibration she had felt earlier eased into calm. The sphere slowly ascended, drifting back toward the sky. Its final message echoed softly. "When you walk your path with truth, you are never lost." Ilara watched it rise, her hand still wrapped in Kyle's. The light faded into the night sky until only stars remained. Kale finally turned to her, voice full of quiet relief. "You're really staying." She nodded, resting her forehead softly against his shoulder. "Where else would I go?" The night settled around them, calm, cool, peaceful. But the moment still carried all the warmth of something beginning, not ending. Kale wrapped an arm gently around her. Alara, whatever comes next, we face it together. And for the first time in a long while, she felt certain of her place in the world, certain of where the light led her. Not to the stars, not to answers she barely understood, but to the person standing beside her. And to the future, waiting quietly for them both.